Hello and welcome to Zoom with Czarny. Today is Thursday. It is August 17th. I'm actually recording this a few days earlier, so if there's a lot of big news happening since Monday, well, I'm not going to be talking about it in this podcast, but that's okay because this podcast is meant to deal with the interviews that I have with candidates and democracy advocates. This week I have Patrona Jones-Rowser. She won the Democratic primary for Common Council District 4 in the city of Syracuse. And we actually recorded a couple of weeks ago, so I'm finally getting this up. So I'm very happy to do that. This week I am in Niagara Falls. This has been a lot of these over the last few months, but this time I'm in Niagara Falls for the New York State Elections Commissioner Association Conference, where I'm the Democratic Caucus Chair. And so I'll be teaching a class on modernization of poll site staffing and also leading my caucus in reorganization as well. So it's these conferences that we go on with New York State are an incredible learning thing. The State Board of Elections spends a whole day talking to us about all the different changes and things that we need to know in dealing with them. We then have another whole day of individual county boards of elections teaching classes. And of course, we have our vendor user groups to learn about the new softwares that are coming up and changes to any election technology that we might have. It's not a junket. It's very busy. And although we will have some fun, I'm sure, especially at night. But these are very important training exercises. And I wish all counties would send their elections commissioners to, because they are important to go to. And they should be mandatory, to be quite honest, because these trainings are how we learn as election administrators. So that's all I got to say, and that's what's going on. And that's why I'm not, the new machines are coming in this week. I'll throw some reels up from the NYSECA conference with maybe some videos and pictures, as my staff is, our staff is receiving that equipment while we're away at conference this week. So. But that's all I got. So please stay tuned for this interview with Patrona Jones-Rowser, Democratic candidate for for Common Council District 4 for the city of Syracuse. Bye-bye. And I'm back, and I'm so happy to have my new friend, Patrona Jones. Patrona ran a primary. She's a first-time candidate, ran a Democratic primary for Common Council District 4 inside the city of Syracuse, and she does have a general election opponent, and that's why I'm having her on with Zoom with Czarny. Patrona, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me, Dustin.
So, Patrona, you've already won the primary, so the voters know you, but there may be more people that are watching this that are not Democrats that don't live in the 4th Council District, that don't know who you are. So tell us a little bit about you. Who's Patrona Jones?
Patrona Jones-Rowser. I am a lifelong resident. Did move away for a short stint, came back. Don't want to ever leave again. I am a mother, a wife. I am a Syracuse City School alum. Graduated from Nottingham after I did a little tour of schools. And I went into trades right after. So I was a stylist and a salon owner for many years. I'm currently a event planner. I do event decoration for weddings and lots of fabulous events. I am an advocate for my community. As I said, I don't want to ever leave. I've been a resident of the South Side my entire life. My family is from the South Side. Majority of us have stayed and remained within the South Side area. My businesses have always been on the South Side. And I really just want to be able to advocate for my community. And I've gotten involved with working in the community in 2008 when I first became a homeowner, because I knew that things growing up on the South Side, I'd seen lots of change, some good, some not so good. And I knew that if I didn't, take the reins and just step out and do some of the things that I wanted to see happening myself, then who would? So it was then that I got involved in community service. Um, Outside of being mentor, I did mentor a lot of young girls, but outside of that, getting involved more in the community itself started in 2008, and since then I've been a stern advocate for things that happen within the community.
That's amazing. And I know I met you when you were part of the Center State CEO leadership
Oh,
and I met you when I was teaching the class, and you told me then it was like
yeah,
January that you're going to run for office, and I was
yeah,
like, oh
yeah,
great,
yeah,
and I was like, sometime in the future. You're like, no, this year, and you did,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you won. It was a close race, but you won the primary. But
yeah.
unlike a lot of city races, there's actually a general election candidate, not a Republican, but who's running on an independent line.
Mhm.
And so you actually have to continue campaigning. You've won your primary, but now you're on to the general election. So why did you particularly want to run for this seat? What was it about back in January when you told me you were going to do it? What was it about the fourth Common Council seat, which is a brand new district, redistricted
Yeah.
last year? Um,
Mhm.
what was it about that you that you felt you needed to run for this seat this year?
Yeah. So I guess the main thing that mm, allowed me to put my hat in the ring was the fact that the individual who currently holds the seat, Latoya Allen, the Honorable Latoya Allen, she is no longer seeking reelection. She's held that position for some time now. I think she's done, a good job, and she had wanted to focus on her family, and so for a few years, people have been asking me to run. Like I said, I've been a pillar in the community. I've, you know, been very active within Tomorrow's Neighborhoods Today. I sit on quite a few boards that have ties to the community, basically. So anything that comes down the pipeline for the South Side, I try to be involved in. And so people have been asking me, why don't you run? Why don't you run? I really was like, that's not my thing. I think I do okay, right where I am. But the opportunity presented itself, and apparently I just felt like it was the time. If I would ever do it, the time was now. And so that was the reason why I ran. And I felt that I would be able to, make a better change throughout the community. Although we do have the new redistricting, so there's a little bit more for myself to learn as well, because now we have the larger district within the Valley area that's new to the fourth district, and so that's an area. North and South Valley in itself are kind of two different worlds. And so to add it on with the fourth district, the older fourth district. So now I'll have to get, better acquainted with those two areas. I'm familiar more with the North Valley. I now have to be more familiarized with South Valley, what their needs are, what they are facing, different things like that. So I think it'll be a learning for myself and the community and as a whole. But I do believe that the work that I've done previously would kind of roll over into that position.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, you've been a neighborhood activist for quite some time. So, and the districts in the side of the city of Syracuse are so large. They're actually larger than the county ledge districts. I don't think people realize that. The five districts that span the city, you're going to have no matter how they're drawn, you're going to have a multitude of neighborhoods in there. The old Fourth used to have the university and
Yeah.
the South
Yeah.
Side. So there's always any district councilor has to, serve many different communities, which is I think admirable. So but let's talk about that. So what do you think are the needs of your district, the new district? What are people telling you that they need when you're going door to door and during the primary campaign?
So primarily, like I said, there's a few different makeups within that district. So I think the greatest need overall is housing. And we are primarily in a food desert. So people are begging, I should say, for a local supermarket. Those two things are top notch things that people want to see, and probably more than likely things that I'll be looking to try to achieve during my candidacy. The supermarket alone has been, great within great conversations, and that's across the board. Each neighborhood, that's their greatest concern, is to have, and not just one. A lot of people look at the fact that there was a supermarket that left the Valley Plaza area, but there's also the supermarket that left the West Side. And so individuals who were on that southwest end of the Fourth District, who would frequent the No Jam supermarket, now they do go to the Price Right, but I think they're looking for more, or more of a variety per se. So it's both, both ways from all neighborhoods, the South and the Northern, I'd say.
Yeah,
And
I'm pretty familiar with that old Tops that was there.
yeah,
It was a Tops. It was a I forgot what it was before it was a Tops, but it was that old supermarket that was there.
yeah,
That a lot of people say, "Oh, well, Price Right open," but then people don't realize how far away that is for somebody
exactly.
who doesn't have a vehicle or
Yes.
is relying on public transportation.
Mhm.
And the Price Right's great too, but almost as soon as the Price Right opened up and you had some choices again, the Tops
Yeah,
closed. And
yeah.
in Green Hills is right outside the city line in South Valley, but that's a
Mhm.
long way for the people that are inside the city to go to. So yeah, it
Yeah.
is a food desert.
Yeah.
It is something that the city of Syracuse, has long dealt with as a problem.
Yes.
Side and a lot of places where these big supermarkets used to be located in neighborhoods, and they move out. So yeah, that's so when you're elected this fall, I like to be positive. When you're elected this fall, what are some of the things that you're hoping to do in your first term?
Um, in my first term, I am absolutely hoping to address some of the needs in the housing as arena. I do know that housing stability is a great problem within our community. Um, a lot of individuals are facing or on the verge of losing housing due to increase in rents. And a lot of people are afraid of, a lot of people believe that the South Side is being gentrified. I don't believe that, but that is the belief of others. And so a lot of people are afraid that they're going to be being pushed out of areas that they live in. And so trying to, help people to secure housing, that's one of my biggest issues, not just in the rental aspect, but also, trying to help people understand that they're able to purchase as well if that's something that they wish to do. A lot of individuals don't understand the full process, and so although they're able to, they just don't know that they can't. And so finding those individuals who do have the ability to do so, and, you know, educating them on those things, and so that they can, you know, do that if that's something that they choose to. Currently, I have had individuals who are able to buy, but they're just not ready for the responsibilities of home ownership. And so they rather rent, because then they're not responsible for simple things like mowing a lawn, or, you know, having to deal with a plumbing issue. If, you know, that's just not something that they want to do. So to each his own, you know, being understanding of, you know, where people are and meeting them, you know, where they are. But the housing is one thing. And again, trying to help with the grocery store. I do find that a lot of individuals within our community are facing mental health issues. And so I know that a lot of people, I have to say this all the time, a lot of people, you know, say that it's a county issue, you know, I don't even know what you could do about it, but I would rather try to see what I can do than say it's not something that I can do. That's not the person who I am. If I can, you know, direct someone in a direction, or try to get some legislation changed to benefit my community, that is what I'm going to do. So the mental health aspect within our community it's a huge issue, and I think that that needs to be addressed.
You're coming from a Micron event tonight. That's why you're joining us from the car. And so, you know, we should talk about that, right? I mean, this is a huge thing for, or at least potentially a huge thing for our area. But you know, we've kind of heard this before with Destiny and some other things. And you know, what are you hoping that the Micron deal will mean for your community as a whole?
So I have had the opportunity to sit down in a meeting or so with some representatives from Micron, and Micron is setting the pathway. But like you said, we've seen things like this with Destiny. That question was also brought up in the meeting that I attended. You know, like, how do we ensure that this is just not something that, you know, people say to get their numbers in the beginning, and then, you know, to kind of drop people after so long. So, and I reiterated the question so that they understood where the community would be looking at this from. But I do think that the proactiveness of Micron trying to, you know, educate the community on the needs of what Micron is going to need, the job opportunities that will be available for the community. I think they're doing a great job trying to get that out there. And it's now in our hands to seek whatever education, whatever certification, you know, whatever jobs they have lined up. If someone is interested in those, or already have the ability to do them, and they may need to take their job or their staff, you know, to the next level, that's where we need to try to get behind things and, you know, figure out how can we strengthen our own community? How can we shore up our community to make sure that we are, you know, at the forefront to get those jobs? Because we have possibly 2 years to get that under our belt. And like I said, we did ask, you know, and clearly stated that, you know, how do we ensure that these jobs aren't going to be, you know, given, and then in, you know, 12 to 18 months, these individuals may have left their other positions to take on these positions, and then they're dropped, and now they are, you know, left with nothing. And so the question was raised, and I'm hoping that, you know, that festers within the Micron group, that, you know, you can't we can't continue to have things like that happen in our community. So that has been presented, but now we just need to focus on reaching the individuals with the bandwidth to do the jobs that Micron need, shore them up on getting the education and knowledge that they need to do those jobs.
You know, you mentioned education, and though that's not your job as the city council, it's always a major issue. I mean, you do provide funding to the city of Syracuse to the school district. So, you know, in looking in the new district, Corcoran's not in the district. So, but I don't think Fowler is either. I think it's right outside of the district. So you're one of the few districts that doesn't have one of the 5 high schools in it. But you do have a lot of elementary schools and middle schools in your district. So what do you believe is the role of the Common Council when it comes to education? And what are you hoping to help your constituents out with?
So as far as tying it into Micron, you saying? So
Micron, or even just the elementary schools, you know, having a good education isn't just about the adult education, but of course, you know, education always seems to be tied into these city council races. And even though you don't necessarily control that, that's the city school district and the commissioners involved with that, but you do provide funding. So I thought, you know, what are your thoughts on that in your district?
So I like I said, I am a Syracuse City School alum. But I will say that for myself, my children they did majority of their school in private school. I would prefer that, you know, children attend public school because, for one, the people in my community can't afford, you know, private school, majority of them. And so the city school district can stand to have some improvements. I think that with the new superintendent, we're working on, you know, changing some things. I'm not currently on like any of the PTO or anything like that. My children are grown. But I do think that, you know, the difference between some of the charter schools and the Syracuse City schools with the books and computers, things like that, I think those things need to improve because that way it gives our children a better chance at, per se, some of the jobs like Micron. I know that the STEAM school will be coming down the pipeline, and that's another layer that we can add to the elementary or middle school grade individuals. So that in itself will give them a leg up on future jobs. Right now, the last few years with the schools bringing back lots of the training, I'm sorry, I don't want to say training, the trade.
Vocational training.
Vocational training. I think that played a great pivotal role in some of the learning that children want to do because people see that, well, this is the career that I might want to be in, and I can already take classes on that. So that allowed children to say, well, I want to be over here because I can do this, or I want to be here because I can do that. So that in itself was a great improvement. I think we need to see more of that because so much of that was taken away a few years back. So if they, you know, just bringing back some more of the vocational training, and even that even helps with jobs today, because a lot of jobs that you see, they say, you know, right out of high school or right out of college, they're saying that, you know, individuals need to have, you know, 2 years of, you know, 2 years of experience, or, you know, 12 months of experience in this role. And if you've never done any of it, you know, how how do you get that job? So I think that when you are in those type of classes, you get that experience, and that's, you know, something to take with you.
All right, so we're getting towards the end of that time period where I think it's about right for a podcast length. But I always like to end with my my kind of signature closing question: what haven't we talked about? So this is kind of free form. You can tell us a little about yourself, your family, or an issue that we haven't been able to talk about on the program. The floor is yours. So what is something that you want the public to know going into the general election campaign?
So what do I want the public to know? I am really a doer and more or less not a talker. So I'm not sure. I think that I like people to get to know me. If that's in person, that's better. That way, you know, whatever questions they have or concerns, then they can, you know, get a feel of who I am by how I'm able to help them either identify or address whatever their issues are. But I think that I think just people should know that my strengths are seeing things through. That anything that I'm dealt or anything that I'm given to do, I'm going to see those things through. I will never, you know, just drop the ball on anything or anyone. I try to make sure that anything that someone is asking me to do or someone's facing, that if I can help them out, you know, in any way, even if it's just, you know, passing it to the next individual, I'm going to identify who that individual is and, you know, what they can do for that person and follow up to make sure that that individual doesn't drop the ball. But so that's who I am. I'm a doer. I get things done. And so that's really who I am.
Well, Patrona, it's been a pleasure to watch you work and get to know you over this campaign. I look forward to you serving in Syracuse City government. I'm a city alum. I'm almost was a Bulldog alum, but my son is going there. My parents moved out of, I got divorced and moved out, and I went to several different high schools. But I was on track to being in Nottingham, and now my son is going into Nottingham this next year. So I go Bulldogs. And but thank you so much for taking some time and coming on Zoom with Czarny. I'll put all of your social media links right in the show notes. So go follow her, Syracuse, and you know, I believe I hope she will be your next common councilor from the 4th district. Patrona,
Patrona Jones-Rowser, 4th District Common Council.
Thank you so much for coming on Zoom with Czarny, and you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
And that was my interview with Patrona Jones-Rowser, Common Council District candidate for District 4 in the city of Syracuse. And she does have a general election opponent. It's not a Republican. It's a Democrat who's running on an independent line. And I think she's you know, she did win the primary. It was close, but she is going to have a good shot at being the next common councilor from District 4. So I hope that she that you, if you're in the city of Syracuse and in that newly drawn common council district, you check her out in the show notes that I have posted below. This week, again, I'm still in conference with my second, but I will have a weekly wonk this weekend on the town of Pompey. Up right now is the town of Onondaga. Next week, my commissioner in a car will return. We'll be talking about acceptance testing of our brand new clear ballot systems that are coming in. We're receiving the equipment this week. Next week, the State Board of Elections comes in and does acceptance testing. I'll tell you all about how that's going in next Tuesday. And then next Thursday for my next Zoom with Czarny, I'll be speaking to Corey Williams. He's the 3rd district council candidate for the city of Syracuse. Yeah, I think that's next. Yes, that's next week. No, I'm sorry. Next week actually is going to be Mark Spatafor, who is with the Greater Syracuse Labor Council. It's our annual Labor Day talk with the president on the porch, Mark Spatafor. He'll be on our program talking about the state of labor, and then we'll have some more candidate interviews coming up in September. So go to DustinZarny.com. You can always subscribe. Lots of news have come out about our transition to Clear Valley. It's all done on my website and been archived there. And you can, it's always free, and I'll never have ad space or take any outside money. This is what I do as my public education for Onondaga County as in my role as Democratic Elections Commissioner. So enjoy and take care. Bye-bye.